around the league.
Yeah, it seems that way.
How do you explain that? Why are kickers so much better from long range than they were a few years ago?
I just think it's the way the game has evolved. You know, I think players are getting stronger across the board, and it just shows the kickers are too. The training, you know, I know Bucker does a lot of power training and does a great job with our guys. I know that for sure, and I just think that, you know, it's something that can be evaluated all the time. The strength of guys by, you know, how far they kick the ball, and it's just showing up. I mean, it's across the board.
You feel like this will continue, this trend?
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be. I mean, how far can it go? You know,
50 in a few years.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the guys are getting stronger and stronger. You know, I don't know if the rules are going to change, but I tell you what, there is definitely something to it for sure.
You kind of touched on this, but with regard to Butker, has he done a lot to work on his range with weights or whatever?
Yeah, he has. You know, just like I said, I mean, you know, he does a good job with Ryan Reynolds, our strength staff. I mean, they're really into the power lifts, you know, the Olympic lifts, and I really think that's made a big difference, you know, for him. He's really into it. I mean, he's a guy, he's a kicker. I think he power cleans over 300 pounds. You know, it's just unbelievable. So, you know, he's really jumped into that aspect of it. I mean, he covers every aspect of it, really. I mean, he does it all, you know, and he does it all at 100%. That's why he is what he is.
Coach, we're about almost a quarter of the way through the season. What's been your takeaway of the kickoff return? I mean, like some of the teams that you all are going to be playing in the near future, what have you taken away from what they've been able to do?
You see it across the board. I kind of said this last week that, you know, if teams will kick to a team and they get it out past the 30, then I guarantee it, the next thing is going to be a touchback. I mean, everybody goes to that. If they don't feel like they could stop them, they go immediately to the touchbacks. You know, they try to kick it out of the back or something deep where it makes them come out. It's hard. It's hard to keep them if they catch the ball clean. It's hard to keep them inside the 30.
Dave, with Matariza on that one punt, leaping up to catch that, have you seen many punters that had that?
It was. I mean, he really saved our bacon on that one. I mean, James. I never seen that one time from James. I mean, you know, the whole time that he's been here, and he's been here a long time. But we had a real good rusher on us. We had, you know, so that was part of it. You know, he let that one get away. But I tell you what, that was something else. I mean, when I saw the snap going, I was like, oh my God. You know, from the sideline, I was standing right there, and then he went up and caught it. And then now the next thing is, can you get it off in time? And the protection held up. You know, they didn't have an all-out rush on, thank God for that. But the protection held up, and then he did a great job of speeding up, and still it was a 2.4 to get it off, that's a lot. And he was able to get it out and get a good punt on it. You know, just save us on that one. It was huge in that part of the game. That was. That would have cost the game possibly. I mean, if that thing got over his head there. So, a lot of credit to him.
Sorry. What stands out about LA's unit, and how much does a change in head coach?
I mean, we know these guys well. They changed the head coach, but the special teams coach is the same. Right. So, you know, it's the same that they've had the last couple of years, and does a great job. You know, the guys fly around. They've gotten better and better over the years, and you know, he certainly does an excellent job. Dicker, the kicker, is really good. You know, and J.K. Scott hangs the ball up, punts it to the boundary most of the time. You know, causes fair catches. You know, they've had 18 punts. I think only 5 returns out of 18 punts. So that says something. Seven fair catches. So you know, he hangs it up. Snapper's good, and then a returner, you gotta notice him. You know, Darius Davis, great speed, 4.3 guy, hits it north and south. Can run around you. You know, he's got it all. So, you know, they put a lot into their special teams over the last few years, and you know, it's definitely something a lot more, you know, harder to handle now than it was 4 years ago.
What's your evaluation of McColl been so far this season?
Good. I mean, he did a good job on the kick returns. He was an arm tackle away from really breaking one. We had a sideline return called there, and it's one guy away. I mean, we had blockers up in front. It was only the kicker left. On the one punt, I thought he possibly could have got to. It was a bad punt, and he decided not to. You know, you got to let him make those decisions back there, and you know, and then one punt we got we had like a 12-yard return, but we haven't had too many opportunities, but we had a few last week.
Butker's gotten so accurate, and he might be the most accurate guy now. I didn't see what the percentages were
Yeah.
after last week. But it's stunning when you see him.
Right,
miss
I was
that
shocked.
point.
Everybody was shocked. You know, it wasn't. I don't know. Can't explain it. You know, it's just he's a human being. You know, he missed one, and you know it bothers him more than anything. But the thing about him, he's really good at forgetting that and then moving on to the next kick. He's really good at that. So mentally, he's strong.
What was the issue with the extra point that he missed? Because that was fresh when he
It's just a miss. He looked like to me, you know, he caught some ground on it. He took, you know, it slowed his leg down a little bit. He pushed it right. You know, if you play golf, you understand that you hit the ground and it's, you know, you're going to end up shanking it. Kind of, it's what happened there. He took a little bit too much ground on that one, I thought.
Anything else? Thank you,
All
guys.
right, thanks. Thanks, everybody.
Good luck, son.
Yeah, thanks.
Good morning. I got it. I mean, this is a little earlier than normal. Yeah. All right. I don't have a. I mean, listen. I'm happy we were able to pull that game out last week, and looking forward to our first AFC West divisional game. So with that, I'll just open it up.
Was
What's your evaluation of the Nick Bolton play?
Yeah, it was great to see Nick make that. I mean, well, you all know. I mean, he gutted it out. He had his back was bothering him. He went back in, and thank God we got guys that can go in when Nick's not in there and still function the same way. I think that's huge. I mean, we all learned that last year, right, when Drew had to take over. But when you lose that guy in the middle, it's like losing the quarterback, right? And even if it's for 3 plays, if you don't have somebody that can go in there that everybody feels comfortable with, it gets tough. And then Nick just coming back and doing what he did. I think we all know this about Nick. He's just got such great football instincts. Like, he feels things, and and he studies the game, so he knows ahead of time sometimes when teams are going to do certain things. But I thought he played great.
Coach, I know, just your thoughts, new look Chargers team, obviously with Jim Harbaugh as the coach, but their identity is more so running the football versus Justin Herbert. Your thoughts on J.K. Dobbins and how his effect on the team has kind of changed how they run?
Pretty positive effect, right? Listen, I got a lot of respect for Jim and Greg. I've known both of them for a long time. Kind of have a feel for, I think, what they want to do and become, and you can see that they're doing that, especially early. I know they've had a rash of injuries. We're not going to overlook anything. I think Jim has a way of getting his team ready to play in any situation. So, and the running backs, I mean, both of them really fit what they do. They feel like that's the identity of their team now, right? And yet they have a quarterback, and we'll see what the health is and all that. But they have a quarterback that I think is one of the best throwers in the league. So it's a pretty good combination for them. And we'll see who they put out there. But to us, it doesn't matter, really. We're going to defend the scheme and try to play our best football.
Those last couple of stops you got down in Atlanta the other night reminded me a little bit of last year. You remember the Jacksonville game early in the year? They kept getting down there.
Yeah, in the red zone. Yeah.
And you had a couple stops late against Minnesota. There were a couple other games where you did
Yeah.
that. Is there something about red zone defense that there are keys to good red zone defense that you got to be able to do, generally speaking?
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is how I feel about red zone defense. If you don't focus first on stopping the run, I mean, why would anybody do it? Why would other teams do anything different, right? So I think you got to get them to throw the football, and then, I think our guys have been really good. If I go through the 5 years that we've been here, we added a couple of wrinkles before last year that I thought helped us. And I think you do have to keep people guessing down there from a coverage standpoint. We try to do that. And yet, I don't think you can do any of that unless the guys up front aren't playing well, because it's too easy to just run. The last thing you want to have happen, in my opinion, in red zone is let them run it in. That's just how we feel. We just don't want people to run it in on us. Now, it happens because we play some pretty good teams, but try to make them throw it, and hopefully we can be sticky enough in the coverage.
Is there also with that, I mean, it's scheme, but is there a mindset that
Yeah.
the defense kind of has
No
to
question.
have?
Yeah.
It seems like this defense.
And I think we got guys that are built the right way. I mean, your back's against the wall, right? I mean, everything's tighter down there. I mean, offensive coaches will tell you this all the time. The windows get tighter. Things close quicker. The game moves faster. There are certain guys that can function really well in the red zone because of that, and others that it takes a little bit of time. Rookies come in, and it's the red zone, and it's the regular season, and things are going fast. And you find out about guys pretty quick. But there's definitely a mindset in the red
These
zone.
past few weeks with Nagy and Josh, kind of flip-flop playing time-wise, just a reason behind that, what has Nagy done to earn?
Yeah, I mean, nobody's really jumped out, and so we all coaching-wise, we like to keep as many players involved as we can. If there's not a reason to sit somebody, let them play. So, I mean, Dave and Donald are trying to get all those guys out there. We'd like to get Jaden some more reps, We don't want any more plays in the game. I like it when it's down in that 50, 60 area. But I know what's going to be in front of us somewhere down the road here. And so those guys will keep doing that. Jalen's done a good job. So we're just, and situationally, in packages, we got guys in different situations.
Couple more.
Success against opposing teams featured back. You guys have held Henry, Moss,
Yeah.
Bijan.
I wish that meant something going into this one, but it really doesn't, because we got to start over, right? We got a lot of prideful guys. I think that up front, D-line wise, linebacker wise, and our safeties. I thought our secondary tackled really well. I think Chamari's tackling really well. Justin Reed loves to get involved in that. And when you have guys that take kind of pride in stopping a run, then you got a fighting chance. Now, some of these teams are really good, and I think this scheme I think is really, really good. If you don't stop the run, you're going to have trouble.
The last three here, we're going to go Sarin, Matt, Nick.
Coach, when you took Leo Chenal, I mean, we've talked about a lot this year, but he's kind of a Swiss Army knife,
Yeah.
really doing a lot of different things. When you, and I know you mentioned, Brett and the guys would come by and put some tape and say, what do you think?
Yeah.
Was this kind of the vision, or is this, you got him in here, and
For
this
Leo?
is what he's grown into? Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, the one thing that was most impressive about Leo was the Zoom that we did. I remember, I think it was Brendan. Yeah, it must have been Brendan and I don't know if Matt was here at the time, but I just remember coming off of that Zoom meeting, that interview that you do, saying, I would love to have that guy. That guy's all football. You could tell, even in the Zoom, you could tell he was tough and big and strong, scary, I wasn't sure that he would be doing as many things as he's doing now, but I certainly thought he was a linebacker that could set the edge, might be able to play what we call some under defense and put him up there. We haven't done as much of that, but I did see I saw a passionate football player. That was the linebacker, fit the linebacker mold.
Specifically, how did you see that? What do you remember from the?
Well, I mean, the tape kind of bore that out because he played real physical, and I love those Wisconsin guys, right? Because they see the run all the time, right? Or used to, not as much anymore. And I love the way he saw football. He was really intelligent, and when we challenged him with questions, this is what I remember. But it was just that eagerness and that, I don't know, that toughness. I mean, just something came out in talking to him, and it came to fruition because that's what he is.
Matt.
Chamari's been making a lot of plays lately. Is there
Yeah.
something about just being around the football that some guys have that he certainly has?
Yeah, if you watch him, I showed a clip this morning. The one thing he does all the time is gets off a block. Like he doesn't, wide receivers try to block him. He wants nothing to do with them. Now, not all DBs do that, but he has a physical mindset. I mean, he's a safety playing, a corner position at nickel. And he's earned the right to play that. I put that challenge on him a while back. I didn't know if he'd be able to do it. That wasn't what he played in college. But I think he's stepped in there and done a really nice job for us. And he's another one of those guys that I think just likes mixing it up physical-wise. We take as many of those guys as we can get because that's defensive football, right?
Last one, Nick.
Steve, do you feel like you guys were kind of able to slow down the tight end this past week and get it going?
I mean, they had the one big play, so that's going to stick out, right? And we thought we were going to get a little bit more pressure on that one. We called. I probably should have had a better call. Made it tough on Jay Reed. We can be better on some of our post play. I think all these tight ends are going to. I mean, listen, in these games, good quarterbacks are going to find their safety valve guys, and sometimes that's a result of the other guys are covering real well, and so it gets it to the tight end. But we're hoping that what we'd like to eliminate is explosive plays to the tight end. If we could do that, I don't think it would look nearly as bad as it comes out right now. Good? All right, thank you.
About the way she has started the season that has surprised you, or do you sort of see this coming?
No, there's nothing surprising with the way he's come back in. I think we probably compared a little bit to last year when he first got here, and just remember we talked about drinking water from a fire hose and a fire hydrant, and he came back right away in OTAs and looked amazing. Took it into training camp, looked great. So it's not surprising. It takes a little bit of time, but it's been really cool to see him grow, and I know he has a lot more to go.
So specifically, what were you seeing from him that led you to believe he could start the season this way?
The route running, understanding how to get open in zones. He's really good in man. He's physical. We all know what he can do after he catches the ball. He's violent. He likes to get hit. That's rare sometimes at the wide receiver position. But I remember watching a clip of him in college, and he caught a ball, ran a shallow cross right to left, and then went down to the goal line inside the 5, and it was either try to hurdle 2 guys that were getting ready to hit him or run them over, and he ran them over, popped their mouthpieces out. And so what he's doing physically right now in the NFL is not surprising. The route running and learning how to do that, and I think that between his coaches and I think instantly back to last year with Travis, throughout the year in practice during our special teams periods, Travis would pull him over and they'd talk through things, and I think he understood it, but he didn't know how to do it. Now he's seeing it, has a year, and now he knows how to do it.
What kind of things was Travis telling him? What was it?
Just a lot of things, a lot of good teaching points that Travis has done over the years that is invaluable. It's great when we're teaching them as coaches and we give them our insight, but when the guy that's doing it for a bunch of years like Travis and making it work the way he does, when you're a player and you hear that come from another player that's had success, I think it means a lot. And so watching him now take that into account and do what he's doing from week 1 till now has been really cool.
What was your initial evaluation of Carson, and extending to that, how does Kareem now fit into what you guys want to do?
Yeah, so Carson, I thought, did a great job when he first got here, and even going back to college, you see, at Ball State, the things he did, and then what he did at UCLA, and taking that now to that role when he got here. We weren't really sure until we saw more. Was it more of that hybrid fullback running back deal? What could he do? We had to see more, and as time went on, we already said X's and O's wise, he's great with all that stuff. Carrying the football has done really well, but now it's just going to take some time for him to continue to grow into the role that we see that what his strengths are, and then for him to just keep growing and getting better and better.
I know
What was the other part?
Just about how Kareem now fits in out of these.
Yeah, Kareem's been great. He came in last week and just kind of getting accustomed back to like how practice goes and getting back to getting into conditioning and just understanding footwork, et cetera. So now you take that another step. Every day, it reminds me of P. Ryan. Same thing when he got here. Very similar. So those guys have done a great job. Coach Pinkston, and Porter have done a really good job at helping those guys out. So it's exciting.
How do you see the playing mix with those guys, those 3 guys this Sunday?
Probably to be determined right now. I don't know if we necessarily know, and we're getting into our second day of the week here, getting into some specific situational stuff. But I think that Carson did a really good job last year with last week with the attempts that he had and what he did. And now you just kind of get a feel with Kareem on how that's going to go. I don't know if we necessarily know that answer yet. We got to get through practice and get a feel for it.
Man, your run-pass ratio has switched a lot this year compared to years past. Just wonder, is that something you're seeing from defenses? Is that something that you've just seen from your own offense as far as the success you've had with it?
Yeah, we've had success with it, but probably a little bit of both. The defenses now are trying to take away some explosives. It doesn't mean you still can't try them or test them, but we've had some long drives. I don't know the exact numbers, but I would guess that we're rather low on third down attempts. We haven't had a lot of there's been a lot of first, second downs for us, and then we want to continue to really emphasize getting 6 points and 7 points and not 3 points is big for us. So putting all that together, we're happy with our run game. We want to make it better, but there's probably a little bit of that too with the defenses.
Was that something, because obviously this defensive thing's been a while.
Yeah.
Thing for a while now.
Yeah.
Is that something in the offseason that you sort of looked at as potential, at least aspect of a solution?
No, we didn't. We know that's a part of it. We've been talking about the explosives here for a little while. I do feel like there's certainly explosives out there, but I think there's a little bit of a trend in the NFL right now. But we're always looking for them, and we're going to take them when we can. And then if they're not there, we just want to be effective with dumping it down and run after the catch.
Last 4. We'll start with Nick.
Matt, with the road you guys had to navigate on offense last year, how did that kind of help you as a starting point this year?
A lot. It really helped glue us together and show what we can do. Mentally, physically, it was a long season, and you get to that mentally to the playoff game against the Dolphins, and you go through a gauntlet of teams there on the road and then in the Super Bowl. So, but then you got to hit the reset button, and I think as an offense, there's an energy, there's excitement. We're winning football games right now. We're getting calloused how to win, and There's not a lot of 20-point wins. There's none. But we're learning how to win in situational football, which is great, and I think can benefit us down the road.
Blair.
Speaking of, referring to something you said a little while ago, getting the sixes instead of the threes. Each of the last two games, you've had first down inside the 5 and couldn't get it in. What's the key to improving there?
Yeah, Blair, I think for us is making sure that we look at, okay, what are we doing? What are other teams looking? How are they seeing us? And what are we doing down there? And then schematically make sure we put the players in the best position possible. It's a generic answer, but it's real, you know. And then when we get down there, the execution part is critical. So I think when you emphasize it in meetings, when you emphasize it in practice, you try to make the looks that you think you're going to get as real as possible. And then when you get on game day, it's a mentality from us as coaches. It's a mentality as players that you're not going to be stopped. And then when you get those touchdowns, it just continues to build that energy and swag and confidence, et cetera, and it feeds onto the defense. So we really want to improve there.
Sarin.
Whether it's Wanya or Kingsley, I mean, is ideal situation for one of them to win that job and maybe get that chemistry going, or can you kind of play a couple of guys all year?
It's a great question. Ideally, you'd love for one of those guys to be able to just take over and have it. And I think that's the beauty of this is right now going through that. These guys are going to have opportunities. Wanya did a good job last week. He can continue to improve. Kingsley's got to do the same thing. And it's a part of this league is there's competition, there's injuries. So you always got to stay prepared. And then it's our job as coaches to make sure that we're developing them Monday through Saturday throughout the week. We can't just, sit there and this is any player, not just O-line. You got to make sure that we're developing these guys. And if they're not a starter, what are we doing to try to make them the starter?
Last one, Dave.
Coach, it's a little bit of a curveball, but over the last 2 years, Mahomes has been able to, dribble the ball around to different receivers. What should fans deduce with the lack of seeing Sky Moore or McCall Hardman on the field offensively, and what do they need to do, I guess, to get more playing time on them?
Well, there's only so many spots, I would say. We do have depth, and we feel good about the depth. There are X amount of spots. We feel like right now, with the guys that are in there, they're doing a good job. But we want to make sure in practice that when you're practicing your practice reps, that are the other guys getting specific routes that they may or may not get in the game. They always got to stay prepared. So probably a little bit more than anything is our job as coaches to make sure that we're mentally preparing them and making them stay positive if their reps are limited. Where are they at? What are they doing on special teams? And then for us is just making sure that they understand that we all do this thing together.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Yep, no problem.
Fire away.
Chargers, what do you, or have you seen in the new look Chargers and the way that they're approaching offense right now?
They're physical, nice running game. Heck of a running back, J.K. Dobbins. Quarterback Justin Herbert. We've played him multiple times. We know he has big arms, can make great plays out of the pocket, and they're physical, hard-nosed football team.
How proud of you, your defense for the stand and locking down last week's game? What did you see in the final drive?
We did it good enough to win. I feel like areas we still can get better. We still got a lot of ways we got to improve, but all of that is good when you have a win under your belt. So still got ways to improve and continue to get better week in and week out.
From a teammate's perspective, what can you say about Nick Bolton and what he means to everything you guys do?
He's a dog. We try not to bring him off the field. Trying to make sure he's playing every play. He's our play caller. I think he's the pillar of this defense.
Coach talked about it a little bit, but is there, you guys have had a lot of success in stopping people in the red zone. What's the mindset that this defense has? Do you guys take it to even a different level when you have your backs against the wall?
I think it has a lot to do with the different factors. You got the play calling, which can play a lot into what players are doing, and then you have the players' mind frame on standing posts to not let them in, saving 4 points, and I think it all goes in hand. And I think Spags, being the coach he is, watching plays throughout the week, not going home, getting any sleep, he'd be overly prepared for those type of situations.
Charles Mendy has kind of been teasing that he's getting close on his social media. Just how have you seen him attack his rehab back behind the scenes?
Yeah, he's been all in on it, staying late, working out for 3 or 4 hours a day. Just his commitment, him and Tiffany, doing whatever it takes to make sure Charles get back and be able to excel when he steps on the field again.
When it happens, what will his return mean for your room and really the defense as a whole?
And more versatility, not only to our room, but to our defense. We got a guy who can play in, but also can bum down, play 3-tech, and a guy who missed, 4 to 6 games last year, still has 7 to 8 sacks. So, it can have more sacks, have more versatility to this defense.
Anything else?
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Chris.
Chris.